Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Sam. Today I'm going to be sharing the varnishing process on several paintings. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the meaning. I'm kind of closing the book on that particular series, which I titled Inner Worlds. And I just wanted to thank you guys, and I hope you enjoy this video, and I wish you all a beautiful day. The supplies that I'm using in this painting, I'm using gloss Gamvar. There's also satin and matte, but gloss is my favorite. I'm also using 1 part Gamsol and 1 part Galkit for the oiling out technique. This allows the painting to have an even sheen, since some of the oil pigments tend to sink in. Once this dries, you can apply a layer of Gamvar to seal it. It creates a nice and even glossy sheen. I recommend you guys try both of these techniques out. Seeker, the first painting, was my first time lapse. My camera had just come in and I whipped this one up. As you'll see in the following paintings, they mostly have a similar theme of a fantasy abstract space setting, with a landscape acting as their clothing. This one was one of my favorites because the detail that I put in is probably one of my most realistic looking faces, and it was just overall a very fun piece. The time lapse is available on my other channel. Dreams began to leave one by one. This one was a favorite because of the time and mindset I had when creating it. It has to do with the dreams and people deciding to follow them or to let them go. In this case, it can be seen either way. The chick is letting them go, giving them to the universe so that someone else can make use of them, or she's letting them in and working on them. Dive. This one was the first painting where I pre-mixed my colors before starting the painting. Before, I normally mixed them on my palette as I would work on the painting, but I found this to interfere with my creative flow and it made things difficult for me. But that's the beauty of art. Everyone has their own preferred method of tackling on a painting. I have the time-lapse available on this channel. Sound Mind. I made this one when I was getting into the whole law of attraction and positive thinking movement. It caught my interest and it influenced my work. As you can see, some reoccurring themes such as flow, peace, and balance with nature and whatnot. Dilemma. This one has to do with choosing career paths. We are living in very interesting times where people can follow the traditional route of working a full-time, or they can work through the internet. This is still new to our society, so this is my homage to that choice. Breeze. This one follows the same themes. The wind turbines are like a metaphor for bones, and there's a wind passing through him, giving him good vibes and whatnot. I have process shots of this one on my art amino page. I'll leave it down below. Shifting. I have a time-lapse of this on this channel as well. I was experimenting with abstract backgrounds, and it was based off a comic that had swirls as a metaphor for madness, but the landscape inside her represents peace and how they are always next to each other. It just depends on what you want to shift your perspective on. Silences. I have a time-lapse of this on the channel as well. Unfortunately, this one got lost in transit while being shipped to Canada, so rest in peace. From all directions. From here, these pieces they're not so much portfolio quality. The subject was one of my coworkers at the time. We added each other on Instagram and she wanted me to paint her. So I told her to pose like this. She had very beautiful hair. In the reference, we were both in our work uniform, but I took that off and it was fun making up the fantasy setting around her. New Light. This is one of my earlier works. I titled it that because it's a homage to the opportunity I found in being able to share my artwork with other like-minded people through the internet. It was like a light because I was a 20-year-old with not a single clue about getting into art galleries and shows and whatnot. So this is definitely another positive piece. Inhibited. Another early piece. This one's actually acrylic and the only acrylic piece that I have on here, but Gamvar worked just as well. And this is a homage to the youth that is trapped in the suburbs. I painted a small fence to symbolize that. The greens are so chromatic and they all look the same. This was before I got into color theory and mixing complementaries with each other, but it was still a very fun piece to make. Hideout. Another very chromatic landscape. I got into an obsession of buying a bunch of oil colors. I had to have them all. And this one is me using all of my favorite ones without any prior mixing. Just oil paint straight out of the tube and mixing it with a bunch of liquid. Liquid was my favorite medium at the time, but I developed an allergic reaction from not using it correctly. So now I'm using the solvent-free gel by Gamlin. Finally, this one I titled it Let Go. It was a hand study. Letting go is just a part of human nature. And I feel like this is a good way to close out this particular series. And once again, I thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed.